In this video I'm taking apart a Honda C90E engine, and I'm going to strip it to see if it's okay internally and put any new parts into it that are required. I just purchased it for a Honda C90E that I've had with years, and the engine that was on it was very bad. So I decided to get a second-hand one and take it apart. Now I'm taking off the gear change lever there next. 10mm socket required for the bolt. That starts loosening up pretty good. Let's put my gloves back on now again. Now that's that gear lever off, and the splines are in very good condition. We'll take off this sprocket next. Now I'm after loosening the two bolts there. They're short, 10 or 12 mil long. They're probably about 12 mil. So then you have to turn this to get it to come off, like so. We'll need a screwdriver for that. So that's it off. It goes on over like so, and then you turn it, and then the little ribs come here and stops it from coming off. Now that's the sprocket, which doesn't look to be in too bad a condition. I'll probably replace it though, but it's in pretty good nick. Right, that stops the casing from coming off there. I think the next thing I'll take off is this cover. Should be able to take off this casing, take off this cover. I think it's already undone. No. Right, I must get a Phillips screwdriver. Right, the points are inside here now, and I'm just checking the points are opened. I don't know whether it's at top dead center or where it is at the moment, but I'll check in a minute. And I'm just checking to see what the opening is, and that's pushing it away. That's 0.5, so it looks to be about 0.4. Yeah, it's 0.4. It doesn't move at that, but I'll check a book. I have a Honda book somewhere, so it's about 0.35 to 0.4, but I'll check it on the specifications. It also looks like that mark lines up with that other mark that's on the screw hole there. Right, I'm just after loosening those three screws there now with the shock. You have to hit it with a hammer to get them to open, because they're on there for so long it's very difficult to open them. So they're loosened now, and they'll come off without any problem. I'll just unscrew them now and take that off. I think it's a separate piece. I'm not 100% sure, but I think it is. Right, it is a separate piece. It's turning, but it won't come off. I have to take off this, I think, because it's not coming off. So that's obviously what's blocking it. Now I just need to check to make sure there's no marks for the way that needs to go back on. Right, when I turn this, the piston, I think, is going up and down because the chain sprocket is turning as well. So I must just try and stop that from moving now so that I can get the bolt off. Right, I'm undoing the four nuts there. I have two of them taken off. They're just standard nuts and washers. This one is a dome nut down on the bottom for some reason. and there's another ordinary one over there. Right, that's the 4 bolts off, and that's the cover after coming off. So you can't put it on incorrectly because it's the same as the next part of the head there. So we can put that in there. There's a gasket there. I must take off these 2 things next and see how I can stop this from turning. Right, this appears to be a 23mm spanner. Okay, I must do the same at the other side now. Right, it's the other one coming off, and it's also 23mm. I must clean it off, there's some oil in it. Right, this nut now has to come off next. I think I've got to stop the piston from moving somehow. I'm not sure if I can get all that off if I undo that bolt down there. Let's see if that works first. Right, so I'm just taking off this cover here. It's not coming apart for me, so maybe this is stopping it. I'm not sure. Right, I don't think that was stopping anything from coming off. I think that's a gasket. I'm not sure. It looks like a gasket. Oh, it is, yeah. I better try and take that off, even though I have a Honda C90 seal set, gasket set. Now that's the gasket. Now I've held that with a vice grips there, and I managed to get the nut out. I don't know whether it is of any use or not. So now this is inclined to come out, but it's not coming out. I don't think this has anything to do with it. There's just a wheel inside there as far as I know for the timing chain. I'll take it off, but I don't think it makes any difference. Still doesn't want to come off. Right, that's the points off there now, and this wire actually went up there and came out the top. It goes up through the thing there. I'll have to clean it out a bit better. You can see the dust falling down there. So it's obviously, there's a hole up there big enough for it to go up, but it won't go up there at the moment, so we'll try and clear it out a bit and see what happens. Nope, but anyway, there it is. It was up that way, it was. Right, I've just loosened this screw here. And it just, all that does is it holds on a kind of a cable clip. So put it in there. I don't think it was stopping that from coming off. From what I can remember of the Honda 50 and 70 engines, there's a bolt that goes in that way, but I can't seem to find one. Let's see what happens now. Right, I managed to get this thing to come out. And I've got to undo these two nuts inside here now next. And that's, sure, I should have known there's a chain on here, so there's no way that that would have come off until you get at the chain. There's a kind of a small little, it looks like a washer, but it's actually, it's made of wire. It's not made of rubber. It's I must look after that. There. I'll put this on temporarily on there. I'm not sure if it can stay there or not, but just so that I know which nut goes back there. Right, I'll take off these two and the head should come off then. Boy, that was a struggle to get them opened. But we got there. There we go. Right, I'll have to get another box for the things, the different parts. Right, this wheel should come out now by taking the chain off of it. I need both hands for it. Right, I can't seem to get the wheel out, so I'm just going to try and pull the head off. It's getting caught there somewhere. I have to do a bit of fiddling with it. Right, I got it loose. Okay. That's the head off. Right. And this is the wheel I was talking about a while ago. It just keeps the chain apart. That's that bolt there, that's the only thing that holds. But of course it won't come out. There it goes. Probably need a new one of those, we'll see. Right, this head should come off now as well, unless there's another bolt holding it in place, which I don't think there is. Doesn't look like it. Right, this is the gasket coming out. Chain attached inside elsewhere there. Right, let's see if this will come off. Just a bit stiff. Right, it's coming off. Oh, the piston looks in good condition. Just need a bit of manipulating now to get it off. Now inside there it looks perfect. No issues, so we don't need a new one. But I've just noticed that the piston rings are possibly broken. Yes. piston ring's broken. Unless they come in two halves, which I doubt very much. Piston itself looks pretty good, so I'm going to take out the pins there now and take the piston off next. That's one circlip out. Right, that's the piston out. I'm just checking to make sure I know which way it's turned. So those letterings there on the top are up there. There's possibly an arrow on it, but when I'm putting it back, this writing must be on top. Okay, there's another gasket here. Right, I must take the casings apart now next to get the inside workings of the thing. I think I might take off the clutch side first, see what happens. Now, I don't actually believe I've been so lucky that every one of there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. All 9 of them came out. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to do a sketch, and I'm going to measure the screws to see what size they are, so that I'll know which hole to put them back into, or if I buy new ones, which ones they'll go into. Right, I've gone around the whole thing, and from what I can measure them, number one is a 6x40, 6x20, 6x20 with a cable holder, 6x20, 6x20, 6x40, 6x20, 6x20 and a 6x20. So I've put them all into that box. We'll mark that the clutch side. Right, so just give it a bit of a tap there to get it to come apart. The gasket looks pretty good on it as well. Similar to the Honda 50 and Honda 70 setup. Oil strainer. This mechanism for shifting. That little ball thing is on it as well. The clutch is slightly different. This is a 50. So it's slightly bigger. Okay, well, the first thing to do is to take this off. That just lifts up like so. Now I must break out a new box for all the clutch parts. This piece here, there's a spring underneath that there as well. There, it fell off. And then this piece should lift out with a bearing. That's the little bearing. It's a 6000 bearing. So now I have to undo these two screws first to take off this plate, as far as I know. Yes. Yeah, I do, to get at, there's a nut underneath that to take the clutch casing off. Just taking out the oil strainer there. And I must undo these two screws here. That's going to need a shock screwdriver to get them to open, because they'll right, I've made schmuck of them. They will not open even with the shock, but I don't have a proper head on it. It's slightly damaged, and the other ones are too big, so I'm going to have to drill them out. So what I did was I cut a slot on them with an angle grinder, and I managed to get them loose with an ordinary slot-headed piece. Right, so I eventually managed to get it off. The gasket was holding it in place. It was really very stiff to get off. So this is the nut now that you have to take off next, and you have to press down those little things that are holding it in place. That one in particular. Right, I finally got the nut free. These things really do tighten up, and there's a special tool for taking it off. This is for the Honda C100, and this is for the Honda C90Z2 clutch. Clutch puller Honda C90Z2 T13. Anyway, they can be bought, that's no problem. So below this nut then there's a special washer. It's a lock washer. This is it here. So that needs to come out now next. Two hands. So that's it. That's the lock washer. Right, that frees up the clutch to come out. Like so. And then there's a little copper unit here. Sometimes it comes out easily and more times it doesn't. And then there's another piece down here that comes out. Well, it'll have to come out in a minute. The next thing to do is to take off this circlip here, to take off the main gear wheel. Right, that's the circlip off. And the wheel should just lift up, like so. Right, I must try and get these things off in a minute. The oil pump has to come off. This has to come off the gear shifter here. Yeah, that's the next thing to come off, and then take the screw off of this. Then take off the oil pump, and then take off those two items there. Right, I'm taking out this collar here, and I'm taking out this other, I'll call it a collet. That's that, and that's the way it goes. So I'm after loosening the screws. I've taken off these three here, and I have to take off this one as well. That's different now to a Honda 50 and a Honda 70. It's not on a Honda 50 or a Honda 70, so I must just loosen that bolt there and take it off. Right, I'm taking off that bolt there now. So this is normally stuck pretty hard on because the gaskets kind of, after getting hot, they kind of seal the thing together, so I'd have to give it a couple of taps of a hammer. So it's after coming apart there fairly easily. Right, I'm taking off this next. This here. And I think this gear lever may be able to come out then. Right, I'm just taking off that bolt there. It's a special bolt. It's got a curved section there on top of it, and there's a spring underneath it. Let's take off this screw here now next. Right, again it was difficult to get it off, so I had to cut the screw to get it to move. So it's coming out there now. Right, I must take out all these little pins here now next and store them away. Right. See if I can get that out next. Right, I'm just after managing to pull up the gear lever there. Just checking the threading on the other side. Looks pretty good. And then this piece comes up and there's a spring attached to that. Okay, I think I can start to separate the casings now again. Yeah, I can take off all those screws. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 of them again. So I must try and get them off now. Hopefully it goes as well as the clutch cover did. Right, so I've managed to get it apart. Okay, I'm just watching out for washers down now at the bottom once these gears come out. Right, they are looking perfect condition anyway, the cogs. There might be some sort of a bolt holding that on at the back. I'll have to check. Now that's the one side of the gear part out, and the other part, to get that out I have to turn this over and hope that anything doesn't fall out. I'll take that one out actually. The other one doesn't come out. So back here I took off the gasket, which was here. Which way was it? Like that. So in behind here, the dead man switch, and there's a screw there that I have to undo to let the gears come out. And I must take off that wire, the earth wire there as well. So I'll do that now next. Undo that bolt so that the gears come out, and I have to undo this bolt so that the crankshaft comes out. So this is the 6mm, it's either a 5 or a 6mm bolt that goes in there, and it connects on to this mechanism here. So it was in there, so I've just taken that out, That allows all this gear system to come out, like so. So this should come out now as well, but I'll probably have to tap it out. The next thing to do is I'll probably try and take that out actually, and see if there's any washers underneath there, just to make sure. Right, so I've just tapped it through at the other side there. It has to come off of the bearing, so you just need to tap it ever so slightly. Not a lot. Right, that's that. To make sure I put it the right way now. That goes down there. No, goes like that. And that one goes on top. Right, I didn't come across any washer. No washer there. Sometimes there is. Right. Turn it over. And I must undo this nut here now next. And then I must undo this nut down here, which is the tensioner. There's a spring inside there for the to tension the chain, the timing chain. Right, to get that to turn there, because the crankshaft kept turning, I put a screwdriver through it and through a hole on the side casing, and managed to get the nut undone. So hopefully the whole crankshaft will come out. There are 3 screws on this rotor, so we'll take them off. I already loosened them with the shock screwdriver, so they weren't inclined to come out either. Bit more complicated than I thought. So this little rubber thing is stuck into the side of the casing. Very difficult to get it out. There we go. There's another one in there. I must just take off the earthware there. Right, where the dead man switch is, there's this little, it's a hard plastic as well. Right, I'm just looking there now. There's another screw in there that must come off. There's another one down there, another one there. So they must be something to do with this, I would imagine. I'm taking out the spring here. I think this is the kickstarter. That's that. And I think I'm going to have to tap the rest out. That's that now. There was a washer there, wherever it's after going to. It was there a minute ago. I've got to find it. Definitely was a washer there. Right, I've just been trying to get off this magnetic unit here, and I finally got it to come off. I had to use this pullers. I had to put in the bolt. It's after bending the bolt. It was so stiff. That bolt was what keeps it in place. But if you didn't tighten it down all the ways, you could use it to prise the thing up. So it's nearly out. There's a Woodruff key holding it in place. There it is. Right, so that's that done. Take off this chain. Let's take out this Woodruff key. Then I must take out this that's for tightening the cam chain. There are 3 bolts on it there. Right, see if I can take out this. Yeah, this should come out now because there's nothing holding it. That's the oil pump sprocket. Right, the crankshaft should come out now. I'll give it a slight tap with a rubber mallet. Right, that's the crankshaft out, and perfect, there's no play. Right, what else have I to do? I must take out this. I have another bolt to take off of that, but of course it decided to start shearing across the top. I must take out that bolt there, which lets out all that tensioner for the cam chain. Right, I had to cut a slot on the screw with my angle grinder, and I managed to get the shock screwdriver to open it. Right, that should come out now. Right. Okay, just the cam spring now next, and those 2 screws at the other side that I couldn't get off. Hopefully they'll come off now. I'll heat it up a bit and see if I can get them off without they breaking inside. Now, luckily enough, I was able to get them out. So we have a fully functional casing. Right, I must take out the bearing and the seals. I must take out the spring. Right, that's the spring coming off. The nut, should I say. And the spring coming out of it. Get something to try and get that out. There we go. That screw came in handy for something. Right, that's the bearing and seal out of there. The seal is 2034-7 and the bearing looks to be 6. It's had to read at 6004, I think. I'll have to check the parts book. So I was just cleaning the that's basically the as far as I know, this is called the clutch cover, and I just took off that clutch mechanism there as well, and there was a small little rubber seal, but for some reason it's decided to disappear. I took off the dipstick as well. I'm just cleaning this. I have the inside of it cleaned, and I'm going to get a drill now and a wire wheel to clean off the rest of it. That's what it was like before I started, so I'll be doing that one next.